doing what he's doing, a lot of falsetto-y right now, because that's very mild on the throat.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion. My name is Brando, episode number 531. Welcome to the podcast. Tony, I should have asked how to pronounce your last name. Is it Tony? I want to say Noyes, but it's not nice. It's not.
No, Noyes. No, it's Noyes, actually. But so you're close.
Tony Noyes, not spelled
Noyes.
that way either.
Yeah, no, it's a no and yes put together. So Noyes.
Oh, perfect name for a musician and
It,
and a
I was
singer
gonna
and a
say it works. Yeah.
vocal coach, all that fun stuff. So we're going to get into that as we do. Fine, I'll talk about Axl's voice part two. We got to do that. And before we even get into that, you may hear my baby Brownstone's voice in the background. As usual, that's going to be the theme of for so long of these episodes.
Yeah.
Just getting back from the park. I'm telling you, it's the funniest thing though. He sees like a picture of like Slash, and now he'll be like, Slash. So I'm teaching him.
There you go. You're teaching them right. That's the way to
I
do it.
And I'm going to teach him how to respect our elders, like Axl Rose. That's why we're
Right.
here. I ain't saying that.
Yes, and a name like Baby Brownstone, you'll have to teach him how to sing Mr. Brownstone, or maybe just a part of it, and have him do a dance in the background, have him do the Axl in the background, and
I've been thinking about. We have my sister-in-law got a plush Slash for him like before he was born, and I want to start doing like I can't believe I'm saying this like TikTok videos of like a plush Slash teaching him about Guns N' Roses. I have ideas
yeah,
in my head, Tony. They may not work, but we'll see where they go. And
trying.
that's why I admire Axl. He's always trying all these different ideas, but I want to talk about why you're here, Tony. I mean, I'm lucky enough that you're one of the listeners of Appetite for Distortion I've had throughout these 9 years, basically since they've reformed. So I'm grateful for. I didn't expect to do a 45-minute, rant about Axl's voice. I didn't. I really wanted to. I actually did it twice and a half an hour, and I didn't like what I said, so that's why I did a third. I'm like after the third time in 45 minutes, I'm like, just leave it.
Did you have to leave it a lot? You still probably didn't like
I
some
have a
of it.
Chinese democracy problem. That's why I admire Axl and I defend him. Like I get it. I have a problem with the way I do things and like getting things down. So, but
Absolutely.
and I thank you to the other AFD listeners because I really got a lot of positive feedback for that episode, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna get. This is some Axl sycophant just defending him. He can't sing. What does he know? I didn't get any of that. But when you reached out to me, I'm like, you know what? This is a vocal coach, a singer. And that's kind of what really prompted me to do that episode because I got not you, but other vocal coaches and other people, just people mocking those like Axl Rose or David Lee Roth. I saw a video just the other day. Why would you go to a David Lee Roth concert knowing that he's older and this is just what he sounds like? To take a video and being like, this is what he sounds like now. Look at this fucking guy. Yeah, look at that fucking guy who has a legacy that will outlive yours. Like, are you for real? Is
Yeah,
this what
right.
we're doing now? So it's gotten to the point where you can criticize. I get it. We all age. This happens to all of us. If you feel the need to point out someone's imperfections of how they changed from 30 years ago, do that. But I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah,
But I needed
absolutely.
to, but I wanted to bring you on here because I wouldn't be doing my thing properly if I didn't get all the facts, if I'm just talking with my fandom. So when Tony reached out, he's a singer. You sent me some covers of Velvet Revolver. You're doing some covers of VR. Are they? I'll put links to them and so people can hear them in the in the summary and all that stuff. And you're a vocal coach as well.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's get a little bit of your history before we start getting deep into the Axl voice part two. So you're in Arizona right now. Is that where you started? Where are you from, buddy? Where you
Yeah,
from, Tony?
I'm in Arizona. I want to thank you for having me on here, first of all. And yeah, I've listened to your podcast for quite some time. You got some great guests, and I love what
Thank
you
you.
do. So yeah, I had to reach out when you did that episode. I feel the same way. Watching people criticize that shit all the time, and getting so negative. But we'll start. Where you're steering. I'll start with me. But yeah, I got frustrated, and I reached out. I was like, hey, if you needed another view of this, because I'm screaming at my phone or at, God damn it, leave him alone, because they don't
Leave
understand.
Brittany alone. I mean, I don't want to come off like that guy, but it's such a larger conversation now that it's more than just Axel. You see it with aging actresses and just people just, oh, what happened to them? Oh, they don't look like they did it in the 1980s. Oh, crazy. You're not
Right.
going to either, buddy.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, and that's something I'll get into, which is nuts. On I saw a video somebody put up and said, "Wow, look what rock and roll and drugs, look what it does to you, sex, drugs,
mhm.
and rock and roll, the rock and roll lifestyle." And they started putting pictures up, and Axl was one of them, which made me think of this as well when you did your podcast. So they had everybody up there, David Lee Roth, Axl Rose, and they had a picture of them when they were 20, and then they have a picture of them today, which, I mean, what are they, 50s and 60s, what they're in? Some guys even older. And I said, how in the fuck are you going to put that up and say, look at what the life did to them? And this person's probably younger. How are you going to look when you're 60 or 70? You can't compare that. Like, we all age and we all start getting
It,
wrinkles and lines and look rough and gray hair. I thought it was ridiculous. So just kind of clickbait going on, you
yeah,
know?
that's the word I was waiting to say is that's what it's about. It's to get a reaction. This is the world we live in now. And that's like the thumbnails I'll see about Axel's voice, and that's the one I started out that part one with. Maybe he's a nice guy, this vocal coach dude, but he's just on his thumbnail, shrugging his shoulders. Can Axel sing anymore? It's just,
Yeah, right.
it's annoying. And again, it's a clickbait. It's someone like I'm going to click on this because it's going to help me get my Axel hate out. Oh, what's wrong with him? I'm going to click on this, and if you're going to compare what Britney Spears looked like when she was 20, what she looks like when she's 40, or whatever, that's all you're doing. And I really try. I know sometimes I'll post things that are silly. I want silly answers, but I try not to lie or make someone look bad with clickbait. I really do my best to avoid that with naming my episodes with posts. I don't want to be that. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm glad that we're here kind of in the same they come from the same cloth, but again, we're here to be honest. We're
right.
here to be honest. So that's why I want to get your background with singing. I mean, you look like a rock star, but how long have you been singing band wise? When did you get into vocal coaching? All that stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm born and raised in Arizona, and I lived out of the state probably for only a few years, California for a little bit, and then Washington State. My parents moved around for my dad's job. But I took up I was in plays. I would take up whatever was musical in school, or if they had little skits or plays, I would go and be in those, and they would do them in the lunchroom or the auditorium or wherever. And I would put on little skits for my parents as well. And I'd drag my little brother into it and say, "All right, I'm Evil Knievel. You're the cameraman. You're interviewing me. I just crashed. I wiped out." And I'd lay on the ground and we'd do this little fucking skit or whatever, just to make them laugh. So I kind of always have been an entertainer. And we would make up names for bands, and we're going to be in a band when we get older, and we're going to call it Tight Leather. And we were just Tight Leather is probably the first name I remember we came up with, and we wrote a
Nice.
song. Was never serious about it until I started singing, and people started giving me compliments that, wow, you can hold a note, and that sounds pretty good. And you go, "Well, really? Okay, cool." And then you find yourself in an area of a racquetball court or something, and then I would sing, and the reverb sounds big, and I go, "Holy shit, this sounds," I'd spend time in there while the party's going on in the next room. And it was in an apartment complex once. But anyway, I went in there, and somebody came in and found me, and then said, "Oh, you got to hear this guy sing." So I was almost putting on like a weird concert, and I wasn't even in a band or anything, but I was in there singing Skid Row and Guns N' Roses and stuff. And I'd do a scream in there, and it would echo around, and so that gave me a little confidence boost to go, maybe I should pursue it a little bit, and get into a band. So yeah, I got into different bands, various bands, and writing songs. I love writing music, and I did that for the longest time. I started bands. I jumped into my first band, which was called Wicked Season, um, and I just played guitar actually because I was a guitarist as well, and
Mhm.
or I am. But I started out on guitar, and went from there to started singing a little bit more in that band, and then went on to start my own band. And I did that in writing, and I went to California, and tried to stuff demos, demo tapes in the Capitol Records building, and Geffen
Sure.
Records and all that. You know how you do that? Make up promo packs and stuff it through the slots. And I had a great time. And then I got into, I guess I should just say that I've been doing it about 30 years now, 35 almost going on. That'll tell my age. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm going to be 56 here in October. And when I was about 40, I just went, I was doing the original stuff. I wasn't getting where I wanted to go. And I wanted to go big show because I love everything big show, and playing bars is fun and all for beer, but not really where I wanted to go with it. But I was invited to a cover band, and I never did covers before, and they were doing a bunch of '80s stuff, and I went, let's try it, and I went and auditioned, and they hired me on the spot, and that was the first time I got into. I felt like I abandoned the original stuff. I was like, you
Oh.
know what, I'm making money. This is fun. We started drawing the crowds. I started dressing the part, and we put it out as more of a tribute to the '80s.
Mm.
And I'm wearing fishnet, and remember Axl Rose with the chaps
Sure.
and he's wearing the banana hammock or whatever.
Oh, you wore a banana
I
hammock?
fucking did a banana hammock. Yeah. I was like, I saw him do it, and Tommy Lee with the suspenders and the
Yeah,
skivvies,
yeah.
and I was like, fuck this. So little by little, actually, it
Brave
was my
man.
my drummer brought that up. He goes, "You need to do that," and I was like, "I don't think I can do that, bro. I don't think I can't bounce my junk around the stage like that." And so one day I did it just to fuck with him. So I
Mm.
showed up and put it on, and I had like a weird towel thing around me, or I kind of made it part of the costume of the uniform. And after the second song or so, I just flipped it open, and boy, be careful what you ask for, because you got to stare at my ass the rest of the night, right? So anyway, but by the end of it, they were like, "Dude, you got to do that again," because it really got. I mean, the girls got up. Of course, the guys left the stage right away. Right? They went, "Oh my god!" And the girls rushed the stage, and then we kind of got a lot popular from there. So they were going, "You got to do that again." So that was a great time. I had a great time doing the '80s. Very challenging, I must say, since we're talking about doing vocals. That was one where I'm doing 3 hours, a night, and you get a break in between. Sometimes we do an hour and a half and then take a break and do another hour and a half.
Okay.
And I tried pushing it, so I would do a raffle in between. So I was talking in between doing a raffle, and I really didn't get much of a rest out of the deal.
Okay.
And man, it does a number. It does a number on the throat. So I had to tell them that we can't do the raffles. Somebody else has to take over on that. I really need to get out of the bar, because even in between the sets, the music is blaring, and people come up and, hey, good job, and you're going, hey, you're trying to yell over the music, and I'm like, man, I can't do this, because now I got to get up and sing another hour or hour and a half. So I got myself a small trailer, because I would run outside the building and go hide somewhere,
Mm.
just to get away. Not that I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I didn't, because I wouldn't be able to get back up there and scream some of these really high songs. It's so demanding. And so I got a little trailer that I would run to and go, sit in. So now I felt like that guy, like they were like, well, oh, he's out in his trailer.
Yeah.
I go, well, no, you don't understand. I can't fucking do this. So,
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I just spoke to Rain from Our Lady Peace, and he told that story about Axel watching the Pacquiao Mayweather fight through the Our Lady Peace tour window because he didn't tour bus window because he didn't want to go on the bus with them. And I was like, "What do you guys smell?" He's like, "Well, he's probably resting his voice. Everybody wants to talk to him and hear his stories. He probably just wants to chill, watch TV." And
yeah,
rest. And I completely get that. So that's just a little bit of an insight, whether you're Axl Rose or I don't want to diminish Tony Noyes.
noise.
Uh, I know
Nice.
I'm going to keep going Noyes. I stopped
Noise.
myself.
That's all right.
I blame Key and Peele for that for me. If you remember that show. So whether
Yeah.
you're
I've
Tony,
had people say, nice noise, noise, noise. So,
yeah, whether you're Tony or Axel, I mean, it's resting and
yep.
sometimes I wish I was better with my voice, but I don't know. It's just it is what it is. It's completely different. I
While
get
you're
it.
doing podcasts and stuff, you ever given it a shot? Belt me out a note real quick. Let's start a lesson here.
Oh, singing? Oh
Yeah, I
God.
thought that's
Oh,
what you're talking about. You're like my
oh
voice.
no. I meant just as far as talking, because people, on the radio, I growing up, I have drinking teas. I knew a programmed production director who would eat bee pollen that was supposed to be really good for the throat because he would also do the voices for the commercials. But me, I just keep talking, and I don't know. I feel like I sound sexier if I lose my voice rather than the Fran Drescher that I normally think I sound like. So
Right. You get
whatever.
that
I'm
kind of
talking about
rasp-
myself and my stupid voice now.
you're getting that raspy sound. That's a
So
sexy voice.
yeah.
Raspy.
Although I when I did do that review episode, I spoke about how I got really sick for a couple days and I was throwing up a lot, and my
Yeah.
voice changed to like sound like Ray Romano, and I was like, oh my god. Again, I'm learning these things as I'm getting older. You said you're 56. I still have my birthday sign up because my son likes saying all the letters. I just turned 42. Uh, I'm I'm it sounds. I know people are older are laughing at me.
Did you
I'm
just turn
like,
42 or are you going?
yesterday as we
Oh,
were
happy
recording
birthday,
this.
man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. All I wanted to do was hang out with my wife and my son, and that's all we did. And I got to do Facebook stuff for Appetite for Distortion. Love talking to GNR fans every day and planning for this episode today and all that stuff. But just
So
in
you got
thinking
what you
about
wanted
it,
for your birthday.
I did.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. But thinking about it, just like it sounds silly as I turn 42, things that don't work right now on my body and things that are just I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to I my wife and I for our wedding was all pizza and cookies. That's what we got because we're children. I can't eat them anymore
I
because
miss
for
it.
some reason I'm lactose intolerant all of a sudden. And
Yeah, right.
every cookie is made with milk. So like your body changes. So I know it's probably not the best analogy, but it goes to Axl, the voice, everything changing, and just the kind of conversation about perspective. That was the Pee-wee word today that I was using, perspective. So I
Right.
get
Well,
you.
and I was going to say, like, and a huge thing to think about is these guys have been doing it for decades, for a long, and they do it night after night. And sometimes they do three in a row and one off, or they'll do, and back in the day, they were doing more than that because the record labels and the booking agents, managers, whoever were booking the tour, they don't give a shit about always having trouble with his voice.
Right,
There's a lot, and fans even say this too, like, well, you're this trained singer, you're supposed to be able to do. No, that's not how it works. It's not
right.
push the fucking shit out. It's like a basketball player. They can only play so many minutes, and you have to pull them out and give them a rest, and then they're not going to play another game right afterwards or 5 games in a row, and or even they have days in between to rest their body because the body just won't do that. So, same with a voice. I mean, the voice is like they were going night after night. I remember seeing a documentary of Axl Rose going, it was his voice was hurting. He was doing it night after night, and they had him booked like that. Michael Jackson had the same. They were booking him night after night. He was like, I cannot do that. But they didn't really give a shit, They said, hey, we got to sell these albums. So I think people looking at it from their perspective, from a singer's perspective, totally different instrument. A guitar you can get on it, and you can play that chord, that note. It works every time, and guitarists get a little shaky or shitty if hey, it's cold outside. My guitar can't be in the heat, right? It's going to bend. It's going to be out of tune. It's going to whatever.
Mhm.
It's very much the same with the voice. The voice, we have to do the same. We have to say, oh my God, it's humid out, or humidity helps, but oh, it's dry out, or it's this and that, and we have to compensate, or it's loud. I don't want to scream and yell over the top of it.
Mhm.
Um, the worst one I think was watching the Journey, "Don't Stop Believing" with Arnell,
Mhm.
right, the singer, showing his story how he got into it, and it almost, they talked about him as if he's like a set of tires. Like we got a good 7 years out of him so far, and maybe we need to
Oh
get
wow, yeah.
get a new guy. But so they get off of a show, and there's Arnell with a towel around his or a scarf around his neck, and he's next to a humidifier and he's trying to breathe it in, and those guys come in with cigars or wine or whatever they had, and hey, great show, Arnell, have a good one, and they go upstairs and they're going to go party because they don't have to worry about their voices, like he does. And he's got to do this, sit next to the humidifier, so he's going to be able to perform the next night. And it is very much like there's such a bad side. There's a bad side to that coin that people don't understand. Like me having to go hide in a trailer. You think I wanted to do that? I wanted to go party with everybody else, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to do my job, and
Mhm.
get up there and perform for everybody who paid to get in. So, you got to look out for that. So I think, if people can understand that, there's a lot more care trying to take care of because you don't know if you're going to wake up with a sore throat. It's like maybe waking up with a sore neck. You
Right.
wake
You
up and you
slept
can't.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't turn your head. You're like, oh shit, if that was a part of your job, you'd be in trouble. And that's the same. You wake up with kind of a rough throat or a sore one. You can only try to loosen it up, and you go out and you try to do the show anyway because you have to do it. You can't cancel one of those big shows that Axl Rose is doing, and then you're singing on a sore throat that might even damage it for the next few days.
That's
So then
right.
he has to try to bounce back as he's using his voice. So there's a lot of factors that, which I think is why he is doing what he's doing, a lot of falsetto right now, because that's very mild on the throat. To
Okay.
go out there and go, welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. He's going to be able to do his 3 hours, which the voice fatigues after 3 hours. You go any longer than that, you're just damaging. So 3 hours is very challenging anyway, nonstop. So that's why they throw maybe a drum solo or kind of a little musical interlude. Why don't you do a guitar solo?
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
me a break.
Duff,
And,
you sing a song.
yeah,
But
right.
it's always like a short punk song. So is that much of a break? But yeah.
Yeah, they need to pick something else. They need to pick an
Yeah.
8-minute song. You want to do Stairway to
Duff, you
Heaven,
play
guys?
Freebird. They should
Yeah,
do that.
Freebird, Stairway to Heaven, something.
Yeah,
Give them
yeah,
something to work with. So yeah, so I think a lot of people don't understand like the demand for that job, and I think a lot of people just go to this place of, well, that's what you signed up for, and that's what your job is, and that's what you're supposed to be able to do. I saw Steve Perry in an interview, and it was I think Dan Rather there, and
yeah.
let me turn on my light here. There it is. My computer went down.
Thank you.
Screensaver. And Dan Rather brought up kind of that attitude to him, that Steve was trying to explain to him, man, it's tough to do. No matter how much I practice, no matter what, there's good and bad nights to it. And Dan had said, well, that's why you get the big bucks now, don't you? And and Steve went, and I could see in his face the frustration. And he went, fuck it. I'm not going to say anything else to you, bro. You're a guy that doesn't understand that.
It doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to get it. Doesn't even want to listen. Like, yeah, I
Yeah, because
love.
that's a very cliche response. That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's what does that even I know what that means, but that's not really like a authentic response to what he's saying, at least from what you're telling me. And I'm glad you brought up Arnel Pineda too, because I didn't bring him up last time. And he's somebody who was hired for his voice and singing like Steve Perry. And there was a video, I don't know, was it last year that came out? And he's in the crowd, he's engaged, he's singing, and there was all this criticism online about how he can't sing. And poor Arnel, he put it up to a vote. He put it out on social media, said, if you want me gone from Journey, that I can't do it anymore, I will accept your decision. And of course, all the positivity came in, all that stuff. But it's like, oh my goodness, this guy who could sing, and so much of what I see, and you can tell me about, it's not that you're standing there singing like this is some sort of performance like on The Voice. He's in the crowd where Axel's running around. David Lee Roth is doing his karate thing. There's so many other movements and emotions into it that you can lose your breath. You may not sound pitch perfect at that moment like you do on the record because you're doing live things in that moment. I wish I can credit this person. It was in response to the Axel part one that he sent me a video of Zach Wild. This is funny how it also goes into the guitar. Uh, Doing it in the audience, soloing in the audience with fans all around him. Looks so cool. He's like, watch this video. It sounds like shit. But if you were there, it was the most godly solo you've ever heard. So is that something that you also feel where it's live versus tape, or am I making too much out of it? Because I understand it was recently the anniversary of the 1992 VMAs where they did Welcome to the Jungle, and Axl's voice is like, oh my god, that could tear apart the heavens. It sounds so great. That's on tape. He sounds good there, but I think it's not as simple as that. I'm just curious your opinion on the cell phone footage versus being there.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and doing a song or two on the VMAs as opposed to touring night after night, totally different. Number
That too.
one,
That too.
you're preparing for that one. You got great mix in ear monitors. You're doing one song, two songs, medley, whatever, and you're off. But yeah, I so recently the weirdest thing is I went to a Brian Adams concert, and because I was doing a Brian Adams, I was asked to do a Brian Adams tribute, And this was my last tribute, just so everybody knows. I got back into doing the originals, and
Okay.
I didn't abandon it. I'm writing again.
I never heard of a Brian Adams tribute, so you could be the only one.
I thought so. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't. There was one maybe in Germany or something like that. That we you search them out and you go, hey, is this a good venture to get into? But so that helped me a lot with the raspiness of getting that kind of Brian Adams sound.
Mm,
And so I went and so we said, well, let's go see his show live. And I was really blown away at the way he sounded. I was like, wow, his age, he sounds amazing. So of course, I get out the phone and I snap a little bit to put on social media. And from what I'm hearing there in the room to where I get home, I pull up the video and I go, whoa, he's kind of out of key. And wow, it's not as good as I remember being there because, you're in a huge stadium. There's this huge PA. It sounds incredible coming out the PA. The sound waves definitely different coming out, from this huge arena with speakers to your ears as opposed to coming in this little microphone and then
yeah.
coming out a little speaker or on your computer later. It just changes the sound. And it may
Right.
be more authentic to what's happening on the stage. He may not be hitting all the notes and maybe it didn't sound as good as but you're right. When I was there, I was in awe going, wow, man, he sounds fucking amazing. And if for his age, which he did. And even on the video, it just didn't sound as good as when I was there, but he still sounded very good for his age and for doing it as long as he's been doing it. So I
It's
agree with you on that. I think this is, the social media and the cell phones taking the video and putting it up is not, a great representation of the overall sound of the band, and it's a different experience. So I think it'd probably be better to try to criticize it if you're there. And if
right.
you're there, you're criticizing something that you paid for. And I love that. I think it was Don Dokken that brought that up. He went out and said, fuck it. If you don't want to come to my show, don't come to my show.
Right.
And a lot of people say that they should quit. And I'm like, if they're still selling tickets, why should they quit? If you put out a show, even though you're not 100% or you're not doing it that way, and people want to come see the person and come see and pay to see the show, I think they should just keep doing it. Those people
I
that bitch about it don't go.
I agree. I had this conversation with Derek Schulman. Actually, just taped the interview right before this one. From Gentle Giant, and uh, became an A&R guy. Signed John Bon Jovi, and we spoke about his voice because obviously he's somebody else who is struggling with age, and uh, but it's such an interesting. You want to go there. And I asked Bruce Dickinson this recently with the phone, all that stuff. And I'm guilty too of taking it. But the again, this is not me. This is where I'm not an actual sycophant. If you've gone to a show and that's your opinion, then I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But usually the people who say he sounds like, insert cartoon character name here, haven't been to a show. And it's like, well, talk to somebody who's actually been to a show. And this is why I don't want to, what a lot of vocal coaches do with these reaction or criticism videos. I'm not going to pull up a video of Axl and have Tony say, okay, he's out of breath here. Oh, maybe he lost his inner ear monitor here. Because
Yeah, that'd be fun.
it, it could be fun, but then like
No, I was being sarcastic.
I
I
know
would
it could
not
be
want to do
fun to
that
do
either.
for clickbait, and we can have fun, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's stupid. Because I said this to the other day was also the anniversary, as we're recording this, of the 2002 VMAs, where Axl came back with braids and Buckethead, and I watched that live. I remember enjoying it so much, and I still enjoy it. But it wasn't until after the fact that when I go on the internet, people are like, "Oh, he's out of breath here." I don't notice these things, as a fan most of the time. I'm just
Right.
enjoying the moment. So I'm not trying to be. Am I nuts? Am I just being a sycophant? Just saying like, oh, Axl. I don't think I'm that. But it's
No.
it's it's when you pull up a video, yeah, then you can point to, oh, they did this wrong, they did that wrong, because you're slowing it down. Rock and roll to a point is not meant to be dissected like this. So we can dissect it to learn about the history, but when doing like performances, this isn't Adele. This isn't American Idol. So I don't want to. That would defeat the
And they
purpose
don't
of.
have tracks. Let's put it that way. They don't have the fucking vocal tracks in the back that are like they can duck out of and let the vocal tracks take over. These guys are doing it raw, man. You know,
They
live.
are they are doing it live. Axl is doing it live, whether to his credit or detriment. Unlike a lot of so many artists. And what would you rather have? Axel miming like Frankie Valli, I guess, but he's 90 and he still wants to do it. I don't know if he can even still talk, but whatever makes him happy, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, I went and saw him. I'm guilty of buying the
oh
ticket.
yeah.
That's
So how
before
was
I
the
knew.
show?
I didn't know that at the time. I thought, fuck, he sounds amazing. But he
Oh,
was
that's
like
hilarious.
very frail and couldn't move anywhere. And he's going, Sherry, just screaming it out. I went, holy shit. Can't believe what I'm hearing. Then I found it on. I went, but I did question it a little bit. There's a couple spots I'm
Oh,
like, I'm
we gotta let
wondering.
you know in advance.
I'd probably go still see that guy. I don't care.
But that's the point. Would you rather see Frankie Valli, the guy, do that miming or whatever, as opposed to just a really talented singer doing the songs? I don't know. I
Yeah,
want to see the guy who did the thing.
yeah,
Axel's the
that's
guy
true.
who did the thing. David Lee Roth is the guy who did the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, as much as as talented as Arnel Pineda is, I've always Steve Perry is the guy who did the thing.
yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, there's no replacement for Steve for me. I mean, I grew up on that, and that was like that was one of my favorite bands.
And
So
for the longest time, I couldn't see the guy who did the thing as in Slash because they, other than Velvet Revolver, I couldn't see Guns N' Roses the way they did. I'm like, I can only see Axel. Now we have Axel and Slash together, and new music is a podcast unto itself. You want to talk about that? We can have it. We'll have that conversation another day. But for those again who are complaining, that's the problem I have. Either don't go, just like Don Dawkins says, or see it in person because it's completely different. But I'm curious because as somebody for what because you watch clips online, again without bringing them up because I think this is going to do a disservice. We don't know what's going. It's like when we like in ESPN, you're almost like unless if you're an athlete, like even if you're an ex-athlete, as if you're not Stephen A. Smith or whatever, you're pointing out, okay, they did this wrong, they did that wrong. There's still so many things that you don't know about that's probably going on at that time. So I always
right,
think there's a degree of the margin of error in their analysis. So I don't want to do that here, but I'm just curious what you've heard. I guess just from your opinion, uh, just from listening to Axel, is it age? Sometimes which, again, it happens to everybody. Sometimes I think he just gets so excited. Where at you had the Sabbath, uh, farewell, and it wasn't a 3 hour show, but he did just perform a 3 hour show the night before, and it's he's so I didn't so something again as when I'm watching it versus reading it online, I couldn't tell he was out of time or anything like that. I don't know what he hears in his inner ear monitor. He just seems so excited, like he finally met Ozzy. He's doing this thing he really wants to do. I think that's cool as shit that someone who's been doing this forever still gets so excited to perform and do these kind of events. So, just what do you see? I don't know whether it was the Sabbath show or what have you what have you seen from Axel's performances lately? Have you gone to any of the? I know they haven't toured the states this year, but have you seen any of the reunion shows? So
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to go see that. I saw him before they got the reunion. Then they did the reunion. I saw him. I think it was last year. It was last year or the year before. But yeah, I had to. They came to Arizona, and
okay,
yeah, I had to go see it, man. Because like you said, these are the guys. These are the guys that were.
what
And it
year
was
was that?
much better with Slash and Duff, and the reunion
Okay,
was great to see those guys playing and hear them play live. Um, and you have to remember that 20-year-old voice is definitely different from 60-year-old voice. So I'm thinking that just watching him up there as he's older. Number two, a great thing that Chester Bennington had said this because he did this 17-second scream or 45, the 3-minute scream or whatever he did, right? And Give It Up
mm,
was one of them.
yeah,
He did
yeah,
a scream in there. He did it, you do it in the studio, you're feeling great. And I've done this. I have a song out there called Be My Angel, and I did it way back, but I did these really high notes in this longer scream. And you're doing it feeling great, especially in your 20s. You're going, oh, yeah, man, I could do this. I'll do it again tomorrow. I'll do it the next day. Then you do it, and you have to sing that year after year, decade after decade. And now you're 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're supposed to hold that note out. And Chester Bennington was like, man, I made a mistake. What was I thinking doing that in there? I thought the same fucking thing. I go, why? Now, why did I go do that? It makes for a great recording. You know,
Mm,
when you want to put that in and listen to it, you're like, oh man, he nailed it. He nailed it at that moment. Or I nailed that moment. You know, I nailed that note at that moment. I'm not always going to be able to hit that the same, and neither are they. And that's what makes a live performance so raw, unique. You're gonna sometimes some of the singers will go an octave lower or do a different note in between. Paul Stanley was great with that, just doing something else instead of because he had trouble reaching that high note.
mm.
So he would just go whoa, 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 you know, something else in there that just would blow you away because that's just as fucking cool. So so I think that factors into it that Axl's not going to be able to sing the stuff that he's saying on Appetite when he was in his 20 years old or whatever. It's just he's not going to be able to pull it off the same. But I when I saw him live, I heard him hitting some of those raspy, I'm a West Coast strutting one bad mother. He's doing that rough, and I go,
Yeah,
there he is. There's the
there he
guy.
is.
And then he'd go back to okay, and he would pull back because he didn't want to damage his throat because he has something going on. I'm just assuming
Hmm.
this is what I would do, but I notice he pulls back then a little and goes back into I guess it's safe mode. We're gonna say like a computer, you put it into safe mode,
Okay.
and so he has to coast through a lot of the show. So I think that's what he's doing, and he's at least hitting the notes, which is good. I definitely doesn't sound like some of the old screams, which I would rather hear, to be honest, than more of a falsetto-y, shanananananese in a shanananananese,
I know, I
in
know.
a soft falsetto-y voice because it's such a raw rock song, but it's just not possible right now. And I'd rather be there listening to what he's doing. I was able to see the show. I was actually able to see the man put on his show, and he has a good time doing it. He's still putting on the show. He's dancing a little, and he's entertaining. He looks like he's having fun.
Right.
So I had fun. I think it's great. More power to him. And I didn't mind listening to, him singing it a little different. I think if people had a little more understanding and compassion for that and understood the job and the demand, just a little, put a little bit in there, give these guys a break. You know.
That's what the purpose of these reviews are, or these episodes about Axel's voices. It's the perspective and understanding and not taking away from, okay, you like Chester, okay, you had that moment on the record. Just because you can't do it live, it shouldn't take away because you created that moment. No one else did. That's
Right.
yours forever. Just and so I think that's what also bugs me. It's like you're so dismissive of everything else that they've done just
Yeah, the
because they
the
are
fact they did it once, I mean, just we're able to do that and record it. It's almost like an actor
right,
doing a take and doing his, getting in there doing and they say roll him doing his take for the film, and he nails this amazing piece of film, right? And you're like, God, the
right.
way they acted right there was incredible. It's the same thing. And we should just respect it for that piece of art that they created in the moment.
You're right. And but this does bring up which is a very valid conversation and argument. Do they shorten the show? Should he adjust his voice so he's not in safe mode? I don't know. I mean, they don't need to put on a 3 hour show. Who else does that other than Springsteen? Uh,
Right.
they don't need to do that. Duff, who's probably in the best shape, well, now that Isaac Carpenter and his abs are, I don't wonder if him and Duff are gonna have an ab off one day. Uh,
Yeah.
but Duff says because he's in pain after 3 hours. I gotta your voice or your fingers or Duff sings all that stuff. It's a lot. So I just wonder if they're going to adjust as they continue to get older and getting in those songs where he doesn't have to do the falsetto, but it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because you need to have welcome in the jungle in there, welcome to the jungle in there forever. Like you have to. Like you can't certain songs maybe you can get away with dropping. That's not one of them. Sweet Child is not one of them.
Right.
So
Maybe
it's just a,
string a medley along is, that would probably be the best way to do it. But again, like you said, you're damned if you do or if you don't, because what you just did, an hour concert, 45 minutes, because you have to shorten the set. So I think,
I right. Now you,
they,
you you set this standard. They're like, what? You're not going to do the same as you did before. You're not going to give me 3 hours worth. How dare you? You're going to play only 2 hours.
and I'll guarantee you, Axel doesn't want to do that. I'm
I bet
sure
he
he
doesn't.
doesn't know. I mean, well, yeah, let me cheat everybody and get out of here early. So That's why. That's where those guitar solos. Do a bass solo. I don't give a shit. Hey, you over there with the tambourine? Come over and do something. You know, give me a break because he wants to give everybody their money's worth. I believe. You know, and
I,
you know, but you do have some singers that probably don't care about that. And I'm not going to mention names either. But I've seen a couple that flat out look like they don't care, and they don't care if they're singing the words. They don't care if they're in key. They almost don't want to be there. But again, if people are going to pay to go see them, then don't criticize them afterwards. And you know, there's a reason they're on the stage still. Is people are going to see them and buying the tickets. You know.
right. No, I know. And I mentioned David Lee Roth. I think what he's doing now is cool. You know, he's like, you mentioned Paul Stanley. He's doing different things with his voice, whatever. He forgot the words the other day, but that's always been David Lee Roth. And I think that's just part of, you're not
Right?
there to check off all the
Where
boxes
have
and
you been?
smart.
And he never remembered the words.
It's just part of the experience. It's
And
just
it's
part of
funny
the
though the way he says it when he misses. Oh, I forgot the damn words. You know, he at least plays it off. You know,
exactly.
so
Uh, all of that, and I don't know if that's who you're alluding to, but I've softened my stance because I would be a hypocrite on Vince Neil. I know there's a lot of things you could say about him, that people can say, but I mean, he was never like a great singer. He had it fit Motley Crue, and that's it. So I mean, for people to criticize his voice, it's like then you never liked Motley Crue, which is fine. Same
yeah,
thing with Axl. If you never liked his voice, that's fine. But the recent videos of him, again, not trying to judge too much on a video, but sometimes that's all you got. It seems like he's almost going through the motions. Okay, that's a problem. However, he had recently spoke about, he did this on stage. I didn't see this clip until after, that he's saying his doctors don't want him to perform anymore, like to get off the stage. So it's like,
wow,
so what health issues is he going through? So I definitely have. I know, again, Vince has dealt with a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of stuff, but there's sympathy there that, okay, this is somebody, I don't know what's going on with him. And if people
yeah,
are there enjoying themselves, go for it. You know, I'm not gonna be a Vince Neil hater. I'm not gonna criticize his appearance, Axel's appearance. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, what are we, what
yeah.
are we like? We're all just walking around like we're all tens,
Yeah,
like
well,
shitting
yeah.
on
Did
other
we think that
people.
he was going to be in shape the rest of his life, and just like you're always just supposed to be on a diet and go to the gym? And I mean, that's difficult to maintain on a daily basis, you know, and do that all the time, especially with age. Like you said, the body changes. You can't eat the same foods. You can't, you
I
know.
know. I
But
wonder
yeah,
if Axel was like, because he looks great now, was like bullied into it because he looks really good now. Because I never considered him, he was never fat. If you want to use that word fat, he
yeah.
was bigger than his 20-year-old self. You
He got a
know,
little round. That's what I
no,
call myself when I get. I'm like, I'm getting around. I need to. I need to jump
which is
back on track.
again fine, but it wasn't like you talk about Elvis, you could talk about Van Morrison, so many of these people that get not even in music. I hate the way oh my God, Princess Leia. Why am I forgetting her?
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. Yeah, forgive me, Carrie. The way she was treated at towards the end about her physical appearance, it's just like disgusting.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, when
that's
you
horrible.
it's so
Yeah, and
you never know what's really going on. So you know what? If you want to think these things, yeah, don't talk about the way people look. That's how I'm gonna raise my son, and that's how things are gonna be. But you know what? If you want to think these things, because we're programmed like this, human beings for whatever. Say it at home. Say it to your wife. My wife sometimes and I we're like Beavis and Butthead on TV, criticizing people.
right.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Once you put it out there, I saw something recently. Were you a fan of The Office? The American version.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jenna Fisher who played Pam. Oh, you see, there he is. Yeah. You want to say hi to Tony? Come here. Say hi, Tony.
Hi there. How are you?
Say hi.
How are you today?
Can you sing? Yeah.
All right, that's good. La
Nah,
la 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 la.
teach him now. Well, now it's potty training, so we're gonna do that before we do any sort of vocal training.
Yeah, that's
With
probably
him.
that's more important. You don't want
one,
to you don't want to be changing diapers forever until he's
yeah, one thing at a time. Uh, no,
time to
you can
play.
play. I think he's now. This is like I told you. This is a studio slash play place.
Yeah.
Where
I
was
got
I? I knew this was going to happen. I was going off on here's my rants. I didn't want this to be as long as the first episode, but it is. Uh,
yeah, right. Well, and there's so much to
it's
cover.
just the criticize again. It's just it all boils down to you're not putting you're not going in thing with blinders. You understand what's going. Like this isn't the same. That is a white car. That's is a white car. You want to see? It's a right. It's a white
That
car that looks like a
is
zebra. That's right.
nice.
This is
No, I
my future call. Oh, by the way, there was a toddler. I said I'm 46. He's 2, right? Is that
yeah.
what I should change from baby brownstone to there was a toddler or just baby brownstone? There's a red
Toddler, yeah,
car.
I don't know. That's a tough one. You're gonna have to come up with something else, maybe, right?
I don't know. Okay,
Baby
red car.
Brown's Baby Brownstone's gonna work for a while. Don't worry. So
Actually, now I remember because some people online were like, "You named your kid after a song about heroin?" No, his name is Harrison Rex. Baby Brownstone, just a fun radio name. So with The Office,
see, there
someone's
you
like,
go again. Those goddamn people online. What's wrong with them?
"I know,"
I,
but
you
this is
know,
who this is. I'm addressing. This is what this is for. That Pam really aged poorly. She had cancer, bro. She had cancer, and she looks great, and she doesn't look. The Office aired 20 years ago. What are we doing?
yeah. Well,
Red, red car. Thank you, buddy.
what's funny is I think a lot of these people are probably young still. They don't understand that even gaining weight, like we were talking about Carrie Fisher and Vince Neil and all these guys, it's hard to eat chicken and vegetables every fucking day. I mean, really, you're talking about it. That's where I'm at. I can't have anything. I have a little bit of chocolate every now and again. And I might say, let's party with a hamburger. And I feel guilty going out and have a hamburger. I can't eat any of those old foods that I used to. And that's boring. So imagine these guys, they're doing this tour. They're out. They can only get food that's around them. They can't cook healthy at home or anything. And just for anybody, it's hard to just not go out and eat at a restaurant every now and again, or to get out and eat something other than proteins and veggies. So it's hard to stay in shape like that. And the internet, I think, was so. Remember when it first came out? If you remember getting on there, you were, you wouldn't say half of this shit in person. Nobody would probably say this in person to another
No,
person, but when they get online, and that's how it began. I mean, when the internet started, you were respectful. You're like, oh, I'd erase that. I don't want to say so. I don't want to sound too rude because everybody still had manners.
it was
Now
new.
they
Yeah.
don't give a shit. They're just like, fuck it, I'll say whatever. There's their profile picture and who they are and everything. They don't care. It kind of blows me away because I still can't get in there and rip somebody a new asshole or shame them for what they look like. It's rude.
Yeah, I felt even a little guilty. I posted the other day. It was speaking of birthdays, Roger Waters' birthday. So
Oh yeah,
I was like, Roger Waters turns 82. He can go F himself. I said the word. And it was
yeah, I
mainly
saw that.
just towards it was just for I know there's a lot of things about Roger Waters and his opinions, but it was more about just what he said about Ozzy. And
Yeah,
I felt bad about that. I'm like, how are people gonna respond to this? And overall people were with me, but it was
yeah.
just like I don't feel good about that. So I
I
think
think that was kind of appropriate. That was not right for him. That was not right for him to say that. What a dick.
I know. Say it to Ozzy's face when he's alive, not
Yeah, he
after
waits
he's
till he's
dead.
dead, and then that's just bad timing, bro. You could at least waited a lot longer.
Right. So a lot of these things are just if you feel this way about Axel, say it to his face, or don't go to a show, or you're gonna be that one guy on a GNR fan page or something and says this sucks. You know
Yeah,
what do you beavis and butt? This sucks. This sucks. It
right,
doesn't
right.
suck. It may not be for you, but does it really suck? I mean, that's so.
Well, I
There's so
just like
many.
to see any of them do it as well. And they'll
They
go, "Well,
can't.
I'm not
They
a
can't.
vocalist. I'm not a singer." Well, fucking shut up. I mean, imagine if they were doing their job and you came in and started telling them what they're doing. Look at the way you're building that brick wall. That mortar looks like shit. Oh, you should just pack. And these guys have been maybe the guy's old. I had a guy who was 72 building my wall. I hired him to do my wall, and I was almost felt guilty because he was 72 out there working, lifting these bricks. And I thought, are you? And I went out there. You need water? Are you okay? I almost wanted to help him, but he goes, no, this is the way I keep young. This is the way I do it. And he was slow. He probably didn't do it like he was in his 20s, but you don't criticize somebody, doing the job like that, especially if you can't do it. I can't build a wall. I don't, mine it would look horrible when I was done. So I'm not
Look
going
like
to criticize,
stairs.
you know. So most of these
No,
guys can't sing, is my point. Is like you haven't even attempted to sing, or like you said, go see them live, yet you're online and you're going to type up how horrible these people are, your review.
we should all be so lucky to do what we love for as long as possible. And it's the same kind of criticism I'll get sometimes, and I'll probably because Harrison's had enough. Look at this. He put an entire racetrack on my. Look at it.
And
This
then
is
he
what he's
brought the
done.
car to you on top
The
of it, man.
the
They were
cars.
gimmicked
We're
after
having a whole
him.
race over here. But sometimes when I get, especially in some like my Alan Niven interviews, the way he speaks versus the way I speak about let him talk. You're cutting him off or in some other interviews. While I admit I sometimes do have an interrupting problem because I'm very excitable. Also, that's how conversations happen.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
when you have a normal conversation, you don't know when the other person's going to stop and start, or sometimes that person's looking for the right word or to say, or you're trying to angle a conversation another direction because it's a podcast, not an actual,
Right. Well, or
so
the
you want to shape it right. So people don't know. It's not just opening the mic and talking. So it's kind of I want to say that. And obviously there's a lot more that goes to singing. So it's and which I don't even know personally about, but I still get that concept. So that's what frustrates me. It's not about, hey, Axl sounds and looks, everything is the same. Nothing to see here. Nothing. It's not that. It's perspective. Again, that word perspective, and let's enjoy it while we can because we're only getting bits and pieces of Steven Tyler now. I
right.
mean, it would have been
And that
awesome.
guy, oh my God, that guy sounded the way he does. He's like, oh, he's been through whatever he's been through, surgeries or sickness. And he's like, I don't know if I could do it anymore. And then he comes out and screams the Dream On scream. I go, what the?
But but for
That's
5 minutes.
incredible.
But for 5 minutes. So you mentioned Axel's in safe mode. Could Axel do that for 5 minutes and then know that okay, I'm gonna be fucked for the next 2 months? You know what I
But
mean? So I don't know when Steven's next performance. So I mean, we don't know if Axel sings the way he's, quote unquote supposed to sing for 3 hours. I mean, couldn't you have like a bloody throat by the end of the night? I mean, what and then he's done. And then he's done. So
well,
the
and
safe
most
mode
of
is,
most
is
of
a
these guys couldn't even do it back in the 20s. If you look at
right.
this shit, because when I was doing tributes, and I've done a Guns N' Roses tribute, I've done a Kiss tribute. I was Paul Stanley, Motley Crue. I was Vince Neil. All the guys we're talking about, which is crazy.
I
Brian
love that.
Adams. Um,
That's
so
why you're the
anyway,
guy to talk to.
well, and you know what? Yeah, that I guess so because it was. I would look up like how did they do it live because I'm trying to do it like the album and I'm like fuck this is demanding. So I would go and look it up live and see maybe they made some adjustment. How did they get through the song? Did they do it the same? And most of the time I'd go, oh, okay, they didn't do it exactly like the album either. And some guy like Sebastian Bach, some of the screams he was doing, he had trouble with even in his 20s doing that afterwards. If you look up some of the live stuff, it's that was, and he even says it. He was like, "Man, it's hard and it's really frustrating when he said when I can't do my job." And that's absolutely right. All of these singers want to be able to do their job. Bon Jovi, a great example, on his documentary, he's almost like you could see him wanting to break into tears, going, "I just can't do it." And I couldn't
I
imagine
know.
doing that. I mean, I haven't gone through what those guys have gone through night after night, after decades of that. I play out quite a bit, but not like that. So I couldn't
It's
imagine
totally
losing.
demanding. That's why with unlike because you get it. It's the vocal coaches, the YouTube vocal coaches that don't. Oh, you could do it. Great. You've been on tour for
Bullshit.
30 years, all
Bullshit.
around the world and playing
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people.
I
That's why it's
recently,
the
dude,
armchair quarterback, armchair clicker.
fuck yeah. I recently saw one. I'm not going to name his name, but he's a very well known vocal coach. And I recently saw only a clip of a live jam where they were doing music together. It was promoted everywhere. They're going to do this big jam. They do it, and there's only one little clip. And I could tell the guy was struggling. And it wasn't even the hard part of the song. And I don't know if he toots his own horn. I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to judge him like that. But all I know is if you're a vocal coach, and you're judging somebody else, I don't know what kind of vocal coach you would be if you can't understand. At least put yourself in that guy's shoes and try to understand what they're going through.
I
And you're
know.
going to
So
criticize and put them down like that. I don't understand that. So
well, I hope in today's conversation we're letting people know just what these guys. I mean, we don't know. I don't know Axel personally and John Bon Jovi personally, obviously, but these are human beings that we became a fan of for a variety of reasons. And as we all get older, so do they. And why should we stop being fans? And why should they stop doing what they're doing? So I think it's just all perspective and enjoy this music while we can, because one day it's going to be gone. And I'm going to have to tell Harrison about Guns N'
yeah,
Roses and John
and
Bon Jovi.
Ozzy Osbourne's one of them. Like that guy's been around forever, and
And
now
he's
when he's
gone
gone,
now.
it's a weird world without him. You're
It
never going to
really
hear
is.
Ozzy for president anymore. you know.
I know. I
So
know.
I agree. Bullies, leave it the fuck alone. Let the fans have it. You know what I mean? Let them have it. Let us have our time. Let us enjoy it. and just leave the guys alone. Go listen to your music.
Yeah. Go listen to your auto tune stuff,
Yeah, your tracks and shit, right?
which is just today's music. So I guess today's artists will last because their programs will last.
Yeah, as long as they have their laptops, they'll be good. And I
they
don't,
you keep
dude, I
updating
can't
on
watch
Windows.
that anymore. Like you watch somebody, they're actually just up there pretending to sing the song. It's like a play, and they're not even saying the lines. It's just, I mean, I don't understand. There's absolutely zero entertainment value for me on that.
I know. I can't. So that's why we have the conversations. We think about yesteryear, which I don't want to live in nostalgia too much, but these bands are still in the present. So I guess I'm not living, completely in the past. So just thanks for your time, Tony. I really appreciated your insight and again you reaching out. Do you still hear Harrison in the background, or is like Mike cutting out? Yeah, you do.
Just a little bit. Yeah, it's not loud.
Okay,
Not bad
good.
at all. You got your mic's working there. It's directional, right? I think it's working. It's keeping the rest of the noise
As
out of it.
long as it's because it's Queens, you never know. There could be sirens going off or construction. As long as a little 2-year-old boy, that's okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
really,
thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. It was great to get a chance to talk to you about that, and it was something that bothers me every time I read it or I see it too. So when I saw your
likewise.
episode, I'd love to get on. And if anybody needs vocal coaching, I'm available. Look up Tony Noyes. I'll help.
Right on.
If you're touring like those guys, I don't know if I could help you. That's a rough one, but
I'll put all your information in the summary. And if you go to assuming GNR tours North America again, and if they play Arizona, you go to a show, come back on, and then we'll do a review. I got to go back to doing review episodes. I ain't have the time this year, but I said, and I'll say it on the first part of this Axl voice review, and I'll say it again here. Listen to the fans that go. I've had fans on the show that go that are as honest as Tony is. That it's not 1987, it's not 1991, but they have so much fucking fun and they would go again. And that's what the point of this is. It's rock and roll. This isn't science. It's not math. It's rock. Let's just go and enjoy and rock out. Oh, and
right,
I'll end
and live
here.
in the moment. I mean, you're in the moment of it. That's all we really have, not this recorded bullshit. Are you going there to record a clip, or are you going there to actually live
I
in the
know.
moment, inside, in the crowd, in the stadium with that guy and this band on stage? Come on, you
I'm
know.
trying to teach Harrison how to do the metal horns, thumbs up. He doesn't know how to do it. He's just like looking at his hands, like, what am I? He looks like
Let's
he's
see.
doing.
Okay, you get him to try. Get him to try. Let's see how he does.
Harrison, come here. Harrison, I want you to do rock and roll. Come here, buddy. It was funny when he was doing thumbs up. He kept putting up just the pointer finger. All right,
Hey,
can you do thumbs up? Thumbs up. Let me see thumbs up. Cool, dude. Can you see cool, dude?
yeah,
Now, can you do rock and roll?
rock and roll, rock and roll.
You put these fingers down, and you put these. He can't do it. He's just like
No,
He gives me his hand. Oh, see? Okay, let's do rock and roll.
let's do
Let's
rock and roll.
these 2 fingers down and these
There
2
it
fingers
is.
up. Yeah. You got it? Rock and
Yeah,
roll.
rock and roll. Hey,
Devil.
look at his gun. All right, that's great. He's like, okay, cool. Let's play cars, Dad. Let's play
Well,
cars,
thanks,
Dad.
Tony. I can't wait to think of a better way to end the episode. So that
Awesome.
does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.